everybody, welcome to the Cave's Guitar Tutorials. My name is Alex Johnson, and we have Master of Puppets, the Metallica tribute, coming to the Cave. And so today we're going to be doing Nothing Else Matters by Metallica. So this song, it does a lot in the open strings, so it starts off, so that's open strings E, G, B, E, and then back down, B, G, E. It does that 4 times, so E, G, B, E, B, G, E, G, B, E, B, G, E, G, B, E, B, G, E, G, B, E, B. It stops on the B, and then what intersects is you go on the 7th fret of the high E string, and you play it twice. And then the second time you play the open E string at the same time. So it's, and then you go open strings B, G. So it's, and then you do a pull off from the 7th fret on the high E string to the open high E. So it's, then it goes back to the 7th fret of the E string, and then goes to the 8th fret, and then the pull off, actually hammer on and pull off, to the 5th fret. So it's, again, that's 7, hammer on and pull off on the 8th fret, so it's just one fret, down to the 5th fret, back up to the 7th, and then slide down to the 2nd. So in all, it's, then you go to the 5th fret of the B string. You play it twice, and the second time you play it with the open A string. And then you play the 5th string of the G string, 5th fret of the G string, excuse me. So it's, and then you go to the 2nd fret of the high E, and that's a hammer pull off onto the open high E. So, see that hammer off. And then A string, open A, to the 5th fret of the G, to the 5th fret of the B, to the open string of the E. So in all, it's, open E. And then this one you play 3 strings at the same time, 3 times, so it's, or 3 strikes. You keep your ring finger on the 5th fret of the G, and keep your pinky on the 5th fret of the B string. And then you play the open A. And so as you keep these 2 fingers here, you're going to move up from 0 to the 2nd to the 3rd fret of the A string. Then hammer off on the 3rd fret of the high E string. So it's, pull off. Remember, you keep these 2 fingers here and then move up. And then with the hammer off, you start the B string, G string, and then B string it back again, keeping these fingers here. Do those a little faster. And then you keep exactly how it is and just move it up 2 frets. So it's, open E to the 5th, and then pull off back to the open, and then to the 7th fret of the B string, pull off and hit that twice, down to the 5th. So it's so in all it's and then down to the open E, bottom E. And then for this, it's basically like the same thing before, but in the beginning it's, you play these harmonic strings in the 12th fret of the G, B, and the E string. So it's open E, no harmonic, and then you play the G and the B string together, and that is on the 12th fret harmonic. And what you do is you just put your finger, you don't touch the fretboard, you just put your finger on the strings above the middle part of the 12th fret. Hit it twice, and then you hit the high E string once, so. And then you go back down as normal. E, G, B, E, B, G, E, G, B, E, B, G, E, G, B, E, B, G. And then here you go, and the second part is open, low E. And then you go to the E minor in the A shape, which is the 7th fret. Your index finger on the 7th fret of the A, ring finger on the 9th fret of the G, or the D string, excuse me, pinky on the 9th fret of the G string, and then middle finger on the 8th fret of the B string. And then with your index, for this kind of chord, you put a bar, which is just, you cover everything, just like how it would be on the normal A minor chord. You just move it up, your index finger acting like a nut. So it's so here you go, open, low E, you hit the chord that I just explained to you, open, low E, you hit the A string, D string, G string, and then you hit the B and the high E string together. So together it's then you go to the D in the A shape, which is, you could do this two different ways. You could do a bar with your ring finger, or you could do all three of those notes with these three fingers. Both are effective, it's just whatever way you prefer. I prefer the bar in this case. And then you basically do the same thing, except you leave out the low E, and you just do, you hit the A string, hit the D string, and then hit the G and the B string together. Then you go down exactly the same position, just down 2 frets. And so that will be the exact same thing, what you strike in the fingers. So it's D chord, C chord, then you do that twice. And the third time it's pretty much the same, but you hit the strings a little differently. So you hit the low E, you hit the A string, which is on the 7th fret of the A string. So on the third strike of this chord, you would hit the higher strings. So I hit the G string, B string, and E string together. to the D string, back to the G, B, and E string together. So it's, again, that's, and then here you go, same chord, although you hit the different strings. First one you hit the A string, which is on the 5th fret, and then you go to the highest E string, and you go, which is on the 5th fret. So in this case, it'd be better to have your 3 fingers like this instead of the bar. And then you hit the E string, B string, G string. So it's, and then down, the exact same position, just 2 frets down, and the exact same strings as well. E, B, G strings. So again, that's, and then here you go to the G chord in the E shape. So just think of the E chord, just move it up 3 frets. And that's with your index on the 3rd string of the low E, your ring on the 5th fret, your index on the 3rd fret of the low E, your ring finger on the 5th fret of the A string, your pinky on the 5th fret of the D string, and then your middle finger on the 4th fret of the G string. And then here again you do a bar with your index all across the fret, so that on the B string and E string you have the bar as well, so you can hit all 6 strings. So going back to this one, and then this one is basically the same thing. You go in the G chord, you hit the low E on the 3rd fret, which is the G, and then you do the same thing as you did with these chords. G chord. So again, you do strike the low E, strike the high E, strike the B, and then strike the G. And then for this one, it's the exact same chord as these two, the D and the C, except it's 1 fret down, and you lose your ring finger, the middle one in the 3 that are the same fret. So you lift that up. That's called the 7th chord. So it's, and it goes back to, and then it starts a song. So back from the beginning, just to recap, it's E, open strings, E, G, B, E, B, G, E, G, B, E, B, G, 4 times, E, G, B, E, B, G, E, G, B, E, B, 7th fret on the high E, twice, and then the second time you strike it, you hit the low E, open strings, E, G. So again, that's high E string, and then you hit the 5th fret, pull off to the 7th fret of the B string, pull off, strike it again to the 5th fret of the B string. And then the harmonics. Low E, just normal low E, open string, and then harmonics, G and B string together, play it twice. High E on the harmonic, you play that once. Then go back down as normal. Play it 4 times. E, G, B, E, B, G. And then then you go into the E minor in the A shape, A minor shape. So if you know the A minor, you just go do that same exact formation, except you put that on the 7th position. Every time you do it a little different. G, B7, back to the beginning. The rest of the chords are pretty simple. It's just E minor to D and C. And if you guys would like to a guitar lesson for that whole song, just leave a comment on this video or shout us out on Facebook, and we'll make a new one for the guitar solos and the chord progressions for the verse and the chorus. So thank you guys very much. We'll see you at the Cape with Master of Puppets, Metallica tribute. Thank you guys.